Are you a professional musician? Singer-songwriter, an entertainer, or just somebody that wants to get into the music industry? Well, you know that you're going to be facing legal issues throughout your career. At the Define Law Firm, we can help you weave your way through those maze of questions that you'll be facing. Eric Fine has over 10 years of experience with working with entertainers just like you, and can easily be reached at 214-522-9596. That's 214-522-9596. There's no need to worry about these things. You need to do what you like to do best, and that's play your music or entertain people. So reach out to Eric. He's ready to help you at any moment at 214-522-9596. Find us on the web at ericfinelaw.net. That's fine, F-E-I-N law.net. Your answer to musical legal questions. Eric Fine Law. Hey everybody, it's the Trout, and I hope you're having a great day, and welcome to this episode of the Trout Show, where I take you to Boston, Mass, and introduce you to a duo, a married duo, Andy and Monique of Crowes Pasture, a folk and Americana band that has made some great headways up in the Northeast, and now they're going to be going to Florida and all over the UK even, because they've been that successful. But it wasn't always that way. With the help of their kids giving them some ideas, about 12 years ago, they decided to start their own band. And that's what they did, but then they broke off and did their own thing and called Crowes Pasture. They just kept writing good music, and they got a new album coming out that I want to make sure you know about it. But their story is interesting from the fact that they were a nice married couple that decided, hey, let's go into the music business. They've got #1 hits in the folk area. They're selling out to crowds. Everybody likes their music if you like that genre, and I'm so glad that they joined me for this episode. So up next, Americana folk group Crowes Pasture, laying down some sweet sounds on the Trout Show. That's next.
The first day of school, I was scared, I was shy, but I listened when told what to do. To talk, raise your hand, and always you stand. Stand for the red, white, and blue. The lone horse followed, a caisson so slow. Sad words were whispered and few.
When did you guys start out and decide you want to play together and put this together?
Yeah, so we can blame it on our kids. So our kids now are 21 and 18, and when they were young, we wanted them to be involved in music. So we found a family folk singing chorus with 60 or 70 people, all ages. We actually saw a group in a neighboring town that had a long waiting list, so we went and started our own group, and quickly it got to be that size. So we were singing and playing with them, with this group, doing traditional American music. We started with Pete Seeger, Woody Guthrie kind of stuff, and then the group moved through the Carole King, Joni Mitchell, Bob Dylan stuff, and
Neil Young.
The group is still going. Our last show was Bruce Springsteen, and we've done some with
Paul Simon.
Yeah.
Gosh, so many.
Sting and Peter Gabriel. It's gotten pretty broad, but it was from our participation in that group that we started singing together as a duo. In some of those shows, the musical director liked to feature couples to do it, step up in front of the chorus and just do a number to change the pace a little bit. And so that's where we started, was really doing that. And it was actually
probably 12 years ago.
Yeah.
I was going to ask how long it's been. So it's been about 12 years. Were you both already learned how to play your instruments that you play? Have you already been experienced at doing it?
A little bit. Not. I hadn't played the banjo yet, but I played some guitar growing up. And
Okay.
you played guitar your whole life. And Andy started playing guitar before I mean banjo before I did, and I liked
Okay.
it. I started playing it. So I've been playing banjo for about 7 years or so.
Now, are you doing a four string or a five string?
Five string.
Okay. Yeah.
So from that group, we branched out first and had a 5-piece group that was doing traditional and Americana music that was not suitable for the family folk chorus, like those ballads about adultery and murder and all that that good stuff. So we did that initially, and then we realized as we were trying to stay together. You've been in bands, Rick, so you know it can be hard to get everybody
Yeah.
on the same page, and
Yeah.
so then we realized that if we just focused on what we do together, we could take it a lot farther. We could, work harder and take it further.
So then you started out. So the other band, was it called Crowes Pasture, or did you have another name? So you just started doing that when you started as duet?
Yeah, it was called Waiting for Neil because Neil was always late. We were always waiting for Neil.
And what did what did Neil play?
He was a bass player, and he did not like the name, but it's just we were trying to pick a name, and we realized that we were saying more than anything else. What are we doing? Well, we're waiting for Neil.
For Neil.
So it's stuck. Apologies to Neil, but yeah. So then we broke off, and then that's what Crowes Pasture is, the two of us.
And then you started recording, or so when did that happen? When you said to yourselves, okay, we like this, but we need to put something down, because then somewhere along the line, you guys started writing your own music.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it may have started. There's an organization in the greater Boston area that has a Woody Guthrie tribute every year. They've been doing it for 35 years. And they get a bunch of different artists, maybe 25 different artists who come in, do different songs. They have narrators who read Woody's written work. So it's a wonderful program. And so we did that, and we prepared as part of that a bunch of Woody Guthrie tunes that were our own arrangement. Didn't sound anything like Woody Guthrie. It sounded like us doing our harmonies and banjo stuff. And so we did an album of that that's just a Woody Guthrie tribute with no original music.
And we performed it first at a few libraries, that type of program that was just all Guthrie with some readings about him in between the songs.
Right.
And then the original stuff, I had always written songs a little bit intermittently. And just started to write more and more. At first, I was writing some stuff. I actually wrote some stuff for the chorus that was performed in big choral arrangements, and then some stuff for the Waiting for Neil band. But the songwriting really picked up again when we got our thing going. So when I write songs, I'm thinking about how they're going to be presented. And I'm thinking about Monique's going to be singing this, and we're going to put a banjo on it. It all goes into somewhat how the song is constructed and what the feel of the song is going to be.
You're kind of like a producer then. That's what a producer does.
Well, I thought so until we got in the studio and saw what the real producer does.
As a songwriter and producer and an engineer myself, people want me to help them produce. I have to. The one thing a producer can't do is they are supposed to make you, as you already know this, you've got one, you've already had some probably, to make you sound better, to give you ideas that you didn't have, and not to change all that weird stuff that happens in your head, like you just got through saying, Andy, I hear the banjo and I hear this. It's what I do when I write a song. Then I go, I need some violins over here. Well, nobody knows that. They can't hear that in your head. You wish you could tell them how it sounded. So, but now how many albums have you had come out now?
We've had 4 full albums under our own name, not counting the Woody Guthrie tribute and a little EP that we did in Nashville. Actually, it was our first recorded thing.
Wow.
This is our 4th.
This is our 4th now. Yeah, not including those. Right. So we've had 4 that are our own songs with a few selected covers mixed in. So this is our 4th one.
So I would imagine when you first started this, you're 2. So you started in the other band, and then you said, let's do our own thing. Your friends probably went, okay, that's cool. They probably thought you were just doing it for fun. And now, years later, they're probably going, they're not, they're serious about this stuff. Well, I'm sure you've been that way for a while. But even your kids would probably go, "Yeah, Mom, okay, that's all right, great. Dad, you're playing a gig, okay, okay. When's this going to be over with?"
Our kids have been so great. They've tolerated so much from us. I mean, because we practice a lot. So we're in the house with them. And imagine how annoying it would be to be a teenager and hear your mom and dad just singing. And it isn't, sometimes it's like making the sausage, right? It isn't
Right.
pretty. You're
It's
like
not pretty.
working on an arrangement and figuring this. And our kids have been really, very tolerant.
How many children do you have?
Two boys.
And the oldest is 21, and what's the other one?
18.
Boy and a boy, or boy and a girl?
2 boys.
Ah.
Yeah, and the youngest just the other day recommended a song for us to cover. So I was actually pretty
nice.
psyched to know that he's actually thinking that way. So
what do they listen to? Do you know what they listen to?
They have pretty eclectic tastes, I'd say. The oldest is a writer, and he writes what does he call it? Cyber, some kind of cyber neo
noir, tech noir.
Oh, tech noir. There's such a thing as tech noir. I know what movies are noir, but I didn't know there's tech noir.
Yeah, so he writes in that genre, and he has playlists of all like tech noir type songs, whatever that means.
Well, this is for movies like noir, like you're thinking of.
Yeah.
Right. And adding some element of robot or cyborg or something. That's where the tech comes in. So it's like, still looks like a noir movie.
Right.
But has, instead of being straight up 1950s fedoras and Oldsmobiles, it has
and black and white, low camera angles, all that good stuff that they always did. So when you guys started this with what you're doing now, was it just you thought, well, do it as fun, or what was the thought process back then?
I don't think we had any idea what we would be doing in 5 years from then and 10 years from then. We started off just because we were enjoying it, right? And we wanted to perform. We loved performing. We knew that from the chorus that we were in.
Right.
So this was this allowed us an ability to just work harder and get more serious about it, because I think we're both that type of person anyway.
Is this all you guys do, or do you have what they call day jobs?
Yeah, I still have a day job.
Okay.
I don't.
And your kids, do they still come to your performances, or are they giving that up already?
They don't come so much. We just had a show in Cambridge, Mass, at a club called Passim, which is a well-known venue, and they came to that, and they actually did a little videotaping for us.
That was cool.
And they skipped most of them. Almost all. I mean, that's probably the only one they've been to in a couple of years.
This was a big one, so they came to that.
Yeah, most of them, my wife would go into ours. People are like, why did they? I mean, it's funny who I talk to, bands, famous bands, and unless if they're on tour, and unless you're with the group that's touring, like the family, they don't. It's like, Dad, how many times do I have to see you sing that same song? I understand that. And people think that's so bad, and I go, no, it's not.
No.
So it doesn't bother me. I'd rather see new people come and see me.
Yeah.
So now we're here years later. You're doing your gigs. You're doing your thing. What's the goal now?
I don't know. It's interesting. We really love playing live, right? We love the audience interaction. It's very moving when people, they get. I don't know. I don't know. According to them, they get inspired and they get really moved by our performances. We talk about the songs when we perform and set some context and explain a little bit, and it helps people sort of engage. We're very lyric driven. It's not like we're a jam band and they can sit back and let it wash over them. They're engaged, and so that's really nice. With the recorded music, we can take the song to the next level. Like we get some of the production stuff we're really excited about, and we've had some terrific musicians join us in the studio to add parts which really embellish the songs and make them much more full and complete, right? But we don't get the feedback. We don't get the reaction. If it gets played on the radio, we don't know who heard it. We don't know if it moved them or not.
No, you don't. And it's funny. I was talking to a young Australia performer a couple months ago, and I said to her, she's pretty well known in Australia. She hadn't made it to the States yet. I said, what's it like when you heard your song on the radio the first time? And she said, it was like Mom playing it on her iPhone.
Yeah.
It wasn't much different. She said my mom could plug her iPhone in and I can listen to it or whatever, Bluetooth it in. And that didn't mean that much to me. And I thought, man, when I was a kid, if I'd heard a song that I did, I'd be like crazy, oh my God, my song's on the radio. Now it's like, it's all right. But I think you're 100% right, because I do miss performing live, because there is something there. And if you hit things just exactly right, where the audience is really enjoying you and the band's in the groove, nothing's better than that. And then you top on, if it's an original that you've done that they like, that even kind of like you're standing up there. I know with me, it's like, now I know why I'm here. Now I know why I'm here, because you guys put a tremendous lot of work into it. It's not simple. I mean, it's easier now because you've been doing it for so long, but you're still working at it. And I also think, don't you agree with this? Now that you've become successful, it's even more difficult because you have to get better, and getting better is really hard when you get to a certain level. It's just
more pressure.
It's minute. Well, it's minute. You can't I'm here. I'm already here. It's like I can only go like there.
Yeah. When we finished our last album in 2019, I remember feeling like, that's it. We've said everything we have to say. We've done everything we have to do. That's it. And so I'm frankly a little bit shocked that when we set out in the early spring here to record this album, we had to cut out stuff. We had a lot of songs that were ready to go. We would have liked to have put on the album. And yeah, like I said, finishing the last album, there was nothing. Looking into the future, it's like, what are we going to do next? And it turns out there's plenty to do. And we feel like we have a lot more to say with this album too. So maybe that'll continue. Maybe next time, keep going.
And also, we haven't, because the kids were younger, we didn't have a chance to really tour, because we could take weekend tours, but couldn't go away for too long. I think last summer we went away for like 2 weeks to Canada, and that was a big deal, leaving our kids who were 17 and 20 at the time. But now they're older. We can leave for longer periods of time. They're in college, so I think we want to do a lot more touring. We have some dates in the UK next in the spring.
Really?
That'll be we were actually supposed to do it during COVID, and of course it fell apart. So we are going in like late March, early April for about 3 weeks. So yeah, we want to be able to tour more and meet.
Well, we'll be in Florida this fall. We're going to Florida for a while. And, yeah, it was when we went to Canada, left the kids home alone. We got back, the house was still standing. The police had been called a few times, but that gave us much more confidence.
And the police weren't waiting for you when you got home. Andy, I need to speak to you over here in the corner. Yeah. But now you see, here's the thing. You're already booked up till next spring. These are musician things now. This isn't like, we're going to Florida. And then we're going to UK. And then 6 months from now, you'll be going, well, I think we're going to go to Europe, and then, so let me ask you a question about, I know because I knew people that were in the bluegrass business, so to speak. They still do the tours where they have festivals all over the place, and people that love that kind of music go to them. Is that started back up again after COVID?
The bluegrass festivals have started, although I think the big one around here, which is called the Joe Val Bluegrass Festival, that one hasn't come back, unfortunately. I guess the hotel I used to do it at was sold, and they haven't been able to get a new place. So yeah, there are plenty of bluegrass festivals, but we're not really a bluegrass band. So
no, I wouldn't say that, but I mean, that's kind of where you fit in the folk kind of thing there,
Yeah.
It's funny. We played at the Joe Val Festival for, I don't know,
4 years.
4 years or so. And we aren't a bluegrass band. And it was people who would come out to our show. We were in one room and one of the little venue, and they would have one of two reactions. They'd walk in and they'd go, "This ain't bluegrass," and they'd turn away in disgust and leave. Or they'd come in and they'd go, "This is great," because all weekend they're hearing bluegrass.
Yeah.
It's firing at them. And this was a chance to take a breath, relax, hear some lyrics, hear some new songs.
Well, and how many times can you hear Foggy Mountain Breakdown? I mean, come on. Well, they used to have that. What's the big one in Kansas? It's at, oh my gosh. I remember it's a small town, and people came from all over the United States to go to there was a huge bluegrass thing. So do you when you started getting into this music that you got in, you're talking about Woody Guthrie and people like that. Did you study in depth a little bit more? I mean, obviously, your music's not new. It's new when you write it, but it's not new. Like, oh, look, here's something. I'm going to throw a synthesizer on, or we're going to do this beat something different. Did you study the history? Have you gone back and figured out the Americana, how that all came about, or like the history of your music?
Well, I read a lot about it when I started playing the banjo, and we started heading down into the bluegrass world, and we were involved again with the chorus, doing the Woody Guthrie, Pete Seeger, Carter family. Yeah, did a lot of reading about that. I mean, I think now though the inspiration or the models for the type of music that we're doing now are more modern people. I mean, like John Prine, who's passed away now, but
Right.
Mary Gauthier, people who are sort of, I consider them current. I mean, and writing about subject matter that is important, whether it's something going on in society or in our culture, or whether they're talking about personal stories, or their own personal stories, or someone else's personal story. These are the things that make that kind of music compelling. And so that, I think that's probably been more of a model than the very traditional Appalachia song collectors, Johnny and Carter family, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So when you think about a song, you were talking about Paul Simon. I know he just came out with a new album. He lives in Texas, by the way, now, if you didn't know.
I didn't know that.
He lives outside Austin. I didn't know it either. I was watching something on YouTube.
Is
And
that Edie Brickell from Texas? Is that why?
I don't know whether I have no idea where she's from.
It might be, but
But he bought everybody calls their things a ranch down here because it sounds cool. But he bought some property outside. They would not say where, obviously, on TV. And he records in an old log cabin that he converted to a studio. But you were talking about that because his music is not, oh, let's rhyme real quick, let's do stuff. It's always deep. I mean, obviously the earlier stuff, like me and Julio and Kodachrome and all that stuff. But now it's slower now, more personable. So when you write a song, and you said it earlier, your lyrics have to mean something. I mean, all songs have meaning, but a lot of your songs, I assume, are telling, like you said earlier, telling a story.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because whenever I've set out to write a song about something, I've failed. The way the songs usually come about would be playing a rhythm or lick on the guitar and humming along, and then putting in some words. And then the story then tends to follow the words that follow the music. And what it ends up happening is I get into subjects and feelings and thoughts that I sort of would have been too inhibited to sit down and write. They only come out because they sneak out in that context. And at the end of the day, it's sometimes very personal, very emotional, deep stuff that I don't know if I don't think I would have accessed by sitting down with a blank sheet of paper and deciding, you know what, I'm going to write a song about this. I didn't even know this was so heavy on my mind at that point in time.
So it's kind of cathartic for you as a songwriter, as a singers, but it's also probably cathartic for the people that listen to it.
Yeah. One of the things we really enjoy is after a performance when people come up and tell us about a particular song that had a particular resonance with them in their life. And we never know what it's going to be.
No.
It would be different songs in different days. But it's really meaningful for us. We end up driving home from the show, just sharing, talking about the person, this man who came up, or this woman who came up and shared how it resonated in her life. It's pretty nice.
But that hasn't changed for performers since the beginning. I mean, that's what we all live on. That's why you want to play. I mean, you love playing out. I understand that. We love playing in front of a crowd, but it's that interaction with the audience that really makes you. It's like I live on a golf course. I used to play a lot of golf, and I always laughed about it because I'd always play it bad at the beginning, and then in the middle it'd get better. In the end, I'd end up parring 2 or 3 holes, and I go, Because in the middle, I'd go, oh, this sucks, I'm going to quit. And then I'd play and I go, oh, I'm coming back tomorrow. So, so writing and doing what you do is the same thing. I mean, you may have a tough night or something like that. Things don't go the way, and then somebody walks up to you and says, that song really touched me, or whatever they say. And then you're like, okay, we're doing it again tomorrow.
Totally. Exactly right.
And you're like, okay, I got to keep doing this. I just, but you've also, and I tell people this all the time, once you get bit by that bug, it's over. How many songs are on the new album?
10 songs.
10. How long did it take you over? And I think you were talking, Andy, a little bit early about it started in the spring. When did you start thinking I'm going to do the next album?
When did you start to?
Probably started thinking about it in the fall. Yeah.
Last year? Okay.
Yeah.
And then when did we begin in the studio? It was like
in the winter.
Yeah, January. It was earlier this year.
Yeah. And the studio is a good 2 hours from our house. So it took us, definitely took us a full 6 months to like get out there and spend, two days kind of thing at a time.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say we worked with several different fiddle players on this album, and they were great. We had great people working with us, and they were doing great work. But we hadn't found exactly what we wanted for these songs. And these were really good players, and it was beautiful, but it wasn't. It didn't really complement the song. And at the last minute, we reconnected with a fiddle player who's now a ski bum in Colorado, and he actually fiddles while he skis sometimes. He's really crazy. But and we sent him a bunch of the tracks, 5 or 6 of the tracks, and he got it and sent us back the coolest parts that ended up going right on the album. That all happened like in the last 2 weeks before we were going to mixing.
But isn't that funny, because you knew what you wanted, but you couldn't explain it?
Couldn't explain it. Mm-mm.
Yeah, it was a little frustrating. They'd say, well, tell us what you want. And like, well, I'm not a fiddle player. You're the fiddle player. So you got to just play something really cool that goes with it. And he's the one who got the songs the most. I mean, he really listened, got what was going on lyrically, got what was going on with the texture, and played right into it. Some very exciting stuff. And so, I mean, we went from 2 weeks before the mixing being very worried about how we were going to get it to being overjoyed with the stuff that he contributed.
So you guys go in and help with the mix too?
Sometimes we're in the studio, but sometimes we're just going back and forth.
Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah, we ended up with a different person mixing than the person that recorded for this album. So, and they were both far away, but we recorded in Connecticut and it was mixed in Philadelphia.
So are you excited about your new release coming out?
Yeah, really excited. I mean,
yeah.
Do you think it's your best work?
It's good. I mean, I thought the 2019 album was pretty good. I was happy with that.
Equally.
The first 2 albums, we feel like we've moved beyond that, and there's some songs that people still like and get played on the radio because they connect. So, but we really feel like we've moved past. I don't feel like we've moved past the 2019 album that much. I feel like it's kind of
extension of it. What was the one that I saw that got a lot of play on the 2019 album? Something about show me.
Slow it down.
I'm sorry?
Slow It Down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Was that the name of the album or the name of a song? Yeah. That's the name of the album. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I haven't had a chance to listen to that, but I saw that got a lot of reaction from people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What was that song about? What's that song about?
Well, it's interesting. It came out of noticing how fast the world is moving and how quickly our kids were growing up and how quickly we were growing up and all that. And so it's sort of an appeal to just take a beat, take a deep breath, and, don't miss what's going on because you're in such a hurry. Just, slow things down. And we typically now begin our live shows with that song almost as a mantra to set our own mood and to remind ourselves to take a breath, enjoy being here. People, you're going through traffic and you're late and you're setting up and everybody's had their day. It's a way to just remind ourselves and the audience that look, here we are. We've got an hour and a half, and we're just going to be here, and we're going to let this be a little vacation. So, and the song has kind of got that, floats along, creating a mood like that.
It's almost meditative.
And I know this is a hard thing to say, I ask, but do you have one favorite tune on the new album?
I do.
Monique does.
Which is?
The title track, Don't Blink. I really love that one. It feels, our stuff has generally been pretty folky. It's played on folk radio a lot, which we love. We love the folk DJs. They've been really good to us. But that song, I feel like, is stretching us out of the folk realm and more into Americana, rockish. Yeah, it's just it's different for us, and it's a feel that I've been wanting to have that kind of feel for a long time.
Is that the one you're pushing out mostly? That's the one you're kind of gonna talk about?
Depending on the market, like for the folk DJs, they will definitely have their favorites that probably won't be Don't Blink. But we've never really ventured into the Americana market, and we're doing that now for the first time. So I think Don't Blink, and then a song called Barranco, which is also more upbeat and lively, definitely not folky. So those two are more Americana songs this time.
Don't you have that feeling when you get ready to release this, you always in the back of your mind always wonder which one people are going to like the best?
Totally, and it's never what you expect.
And never what you think. Do you have your own publishing company, or you work through a publisher? Because obviously, what do you do when you write a song? You just copyright it yourself, and then what are you, BMI, ASCAP? Which one are you involved in? ASCAP, okay. Mm-hmm. So what have you guys got coming up now? Have you got several gigs between now and the release date?
We just had our big show, which was a kind of an early CD release show. We actually have our CD. Want to grab our CD? Just came in the mail. So even though it's not officially released yet, we just had our big show. And we're going on vacation for a few weeks, so we're not going to be touring. And then when we get back, we start back up New England, and then we go to Florida in November, and then, like I said, UK in the spring.
Where have they told you where you're going to go in the UK yet? Do you know where you're going to go? Just there's a lot of the great thing about the UK is kind of like where you guys are now. Everything's close.
It's all close together, exactly. Yeah. Everything's like 2 hours one way at the most, you know. So I don't remember the towns, but
on our website, there's a whole list of the venues and dates and everything.
I think you'll be surprised at how they respond to you, because everybody I know that goes to Europe, I know some people go to UK too. The response is completely different than America. And it's an appreciative. Now, obviously, you guys do a different genre than I do, but still, that's more appreciative. It's like, oh, people are here. Great, let's hear you. And the other thing you guys may not know, I see you hold a CD, is CDs are still popular in Europe and the UK.
That's good.
Over here, I'm just telling you that because I just had a band just came back from several months over there, several weeks on tour, and they like it because people can, instead of just seeing a poster that says Crowes Pasture is going to be here Saturday, whatever day it is, now, and we'll go to Spotify and find them. You can actually go to the store and go, oh, here's their CD, like we used to, you know. And that, he says, I like that because when you come in, they already listened to your music. A lot of them, instead of just going, oh, I've never heard it before.
Yeah. I mean, we have people at our shows who come in and they buy CDs because we have them all out there. And then sometimes we'll say, you do have a CD player, right? and too many times people go, no. Oh, I don't. You're right. And they put it back. All right, well, buy a T-shirt, buy a hat. You know,
so you have merch. Is the merch on your shirt website?
Yeah, just got put up. So we have T-shirts and hats.
I have to look at it.
Yeah.
I like wearing the shirts. Yeah, I like wearing them because I had try to wear different things. September 1st, Don't Blink. And have you done, I know I asked you this earlier, so have you got a video for that already? Are you going to shoot one? Or what are
Not
you gonna
yet, but we are.
We're shooting it, I think, last weekend of July. We've got a storyboard for it. We've got a real good videographer who's
Director.
he's won Emmys and stuff. I mean, he's
do?
really,
Ooh, wow.
really good. And he's got a like I said, a storyboard, a whole plan. He's gonna have some actors that play us in one version. It's going to be exciting. I don't know.
Not overpromise here.
Well, yeah.
Well, I assume you're happy with the final product.
Yeah. Oh,
Seem
yeah.
like you are. Thank you guys very, very much for your time. I appreciate it. I just always love talking to musicians, and I love people that, even though you're not 21 years old, I still think I love to see people become more successful.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Take care of yourself. See ya. Bye-bye. Well, that's it for this episode of the Trout Show. Thanks so much for listening. A special, very big thank you to Monique and Andy from the Crowes Pasture. And for more information about Crowes Pasture, you can visit their website at crowespastureduo.com, crowespastureduo.com. And also a very special thanks to Eric Feinlaw for supporting us once again. And you know where to find more information for The Trout Show. Just go to thetroutshow.com. Everything's on there. Podcast, YouTube, everything. So until next time, people, thanks for listening. And remember what I always say. It's only rock and roll. But I love it. See ya.